Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and I know a lot of you probably came because you wanted to see what the new thing I would talk about MoviePass today would be, but no, I need to take a day off. I'm sorry, this can't just be a MoviePass channel. I have to be able to talk about other things. And one of my other favorite topics is the Oscars. Now, about a week or so ago, I did a rant on the Academy's proposed new best popular film, whatever the heck it's called, and I'm just going to state right now, I still think that's a gigantic mistake. So much so that when I was making a list of pros for the category being introduced, I ended up just scrapping the whole video because there just weren't enough. I think the bads far, far, far outweigh the goods. But since this does seem to be a thing, and since the Academy seems hell-bent on actually introducing it, we have to ask ourselves, what would it actually look like? What would the criteria potentially be? And what would the nomination lineup be? And here's my experience. My experience is from, what the Academy has done in the past. It will probably be based on a couple criteria. They will probably first base it off money, because that's one of the ways you gauge popularity. And they might also throw in the public reaction a little bit, like with the Rotten Tomato score or something. Basically, if it was popular and it had, relatively decent reviews, that could get it into consideration. And once they've gathered the movies for consideration, they will probably create a short list. Many categories do this for visual effects, for best foreign language film, and the short list would probably be for about 15 movies. And then of those shortlisted 15 movies, the Academy members would vote and pick 5 nominees. I don't expect they would pick any more or any less. The lowest they will go is, I guess, now that we know with the best song category, 2 nominees. And the highest they would go is 10, but with all their other picture Oscars, like documentary, the short films, the animated feature, they've never gone above 5, so I don't see why they would go above 5 here. So let's take a break and let's get my ugly face off and let's look at what we could potentially be having for our best popular film nominees. All right, and here we go. We have my black space, although it will not be black for very long because I like to put stuff here, as anyone who's seen one of these types of videos knows. So what are we going to do first? Well, first we have to pick movies that might potentially qualify for the best popular film Oscar. Now, I'm going to assume that anything that gets considered is going to have to at least be successful. So I'm going to cheat with our first step, and I'm going to take the top 30 highest grossing films of the year. Boom. Oh boy, there's a lot of movies, and I put them in as much order as I could. So we're starting out at number 1, which is Black Panther at $700 million domestically and a heck of a lot more worldwide, to the lowest, which is Life of the Party at $54.1 million domestically and maybe a little bit more worldwide. These are the top 30 highest grossing films of the domestic box office, and so these are probably going to be singled out first for a short list. Now keep in mind, the short list is usually about 15. Let's say it's 15 movies that they're going to shortlist. Well, let's see here. These might have made money, so that's step 1. Now we got to look at movies that have a little bit of quality and halfway decent reviews. Not all of these movies are going to be golden. In fact, there's really only a few of them where the consensus with that these were really good movies, but I'm going to whittle it down to 15 anyway. So let's see, what am I going to do? Well, I think I will take the top 12. That seems pretty safe. I'm going to skip Peter Rabbit. I'm going to include Mamma Mia and A Wrinkle in Time. And then I'm going to skip a few more movies. I would personally, if I were making the short list, I would put I Can Only Imagine on here. But I don't think a lot of Academy members will. I mean, they very discriminatorily disqualified one of the best song Oscars a few years ago for breaking the rules of campaigning, even though Harvey Weinstein broke those rules for a long time. And I think it was just because it was a Christian song. So, I'm going to pass that one, and I'm going to pick Game Night as the 15th. I mean, why not? It's just as good as any. So here we go. Let's make this all bigger. Here are our 15 shortlist movies. These are movies that they aren't the nominees, but these are the movies that Academy members can actually vote for. They have to all pick 5. And now the trick is to figure out, of these 5, which ones would the Academy actually pick? So let's see here. We have Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Incredibles 2, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Deadpool 2, Solo, A Star Wars Story, Ant-Man and the Wasp, A Quiet Place, Mission Impossible Fallout, Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, Ocean's 8, Ready Player One, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and A Wrinkle in Time and Game Night. These are our 15 contenders. Well, guys, I'm going to eliminate 2 right off the bat and not even give them serious consideration. I'm knocking Incredibles 2 and Hotel Transylvania 3 off the list. If only because there is an animated feature category. They're not going to vote for them here. Heck, they don't even take the animation that seriously when it's in its own category, so why would they let some cross-appeal over? So the 2 animated films, those are gone. But what do you remove next? Well, let's see here. I'm going to remove A Wrinkle in Time because of the 15 on the list. That's definitely the most polarizing. And if a movie is polarizing, and it seems really weird to be saying that in a movie that's potentially to be nominated for Best Popular Film, the polarizing movies can have very shaky results with the Academy, so I'm going to toss that one. I'm also going to toss Ocean's 8 and Ant-Man and the Wasp, primarily because they are comedies. They are comedies. The Academy struggles with those most of all. And to be honest, Ocean's 8 doesn't really do anything comedically special. Ant-Man and the Wasp does, but with other potentially better superhero movies to nominate, I don't think the comedy would be enough to save that. But I'm leaving Deadpool 2 in there because I think that has the kind of comedy the Academy members might respond to. Plus, it has a little bit of that epicness. So Deadpool 2, despite being a comedy and a superhero movie, which should be 2 strikes against it, that's going to stay. Now, what else are we getting rid of? Well, I think we can strike Mamma Mia off the list because it's, very, very basic musical. And Meryl Streep is only in it for like 5 minutes. And she may be God to them, but she couldn't get a nomination for the first Mamma Mia. So, yeah, I think Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, is going off the list. But what next? What next do we eliminate from the list? Well, I think the next logical eliminations are Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Solo, A Star Wars Story. And here's why I'm taking those off the list. I don't think they would get a lot of votes because we have had so many of those movies that we know a really good Star Wars and a really good Jurassic Park when we see it. I don't think a lot of people are going to argue that those were one of the better installments for either of the series, so I think those are pretty safe to go. Now, what does that leave us? Well, that leaves us essentially 6 movies. Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, A Quiet Place, Mission Impossible Fallout, and Ready Player One. And let's take a real solid look at these 6 movies because one of them has to go, and it's not going to be a very obvious one. Now, let's look at the individual movies. Black Panther, that's a lock. That is definitely in as far as I'm concerned. And heck, that's probably the winner. I think Black Panther is one of the reasons this category was created. Avengers Infinity War, biggest event movie of the year with all the Marvel movies, but it's a Marvel movie. And the Academy might not resonate with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange meeting the way a comic book fan would. So that's vulnerable. However, Deadpool 2 is also vulnerable because it's a comedy first and foremost, and it's a very raunchy comedy. So there is some new blood in the Academy, but will enough of them vote for it? Then you have A Quiet Place. That's a horror movie. And those usually don't do well with the Academy, but I actually suspect A Quiet Place has a pretty decent shot at getting a nomination for Best Actress for Emily Blunt and a couple other technical nominations. And the movie was directed by John Krasinski, who starred in The Office, and actors really love it when fellow actors become respected directors, and Krasinski's on his way to becoming one. So I actually am going to say that one's safe. Now, Mission Impossible Fallout, that is a lock as far as I'm concerned. That is one of the best action movies I've seen in a long time, and I think the Academy will recognize that, especially in this category. Finally, you have Ready Player One, which is an ode to the old classic movies of the 80s and directed by two-time winner and much respected member of the Academy, Steven Spielberg, which gives it a much bigger advantage than you would expect. So of these 6, I believe Black Panther, A Quiet Place, and Mission Impossible Fallout are the locks. These ones are going through. But what about Avengers, Deadpool 2, and Ready Player One? Well, here's the thing. I'm actually going to give a lock on this one to Ready Player One because of the association with Steven Spielberg. In fact, if we have this lineup, a potential upset could be Ready Player One because the Academy, in sheer protest, might just give the movie to Ready Player One, the award I mean, because it's Steven Spielberg. And Steven Spielberg is one of their own, and so I think that if it was nominated in this category, it would be a real threat. So basically, we have to get rid of one of the Marvel movies, because 3 Marvel movies is just too many for this category. And of the 3, of the 2 Marvel movies that we have left over, because Black Panther's a lock, I think I'm going to nix Avengers, because, again, Avengers might have been an event movie for fans of Marvel movies, but it doesn't exist on its own. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It depends on you seeing 10 years of Marvel movies to fully comprehend, and it still leaves you with a cliffhanger ending that requires you to see next year's Avenger movie. So, based on that, and the fact that Deadpool 2 is a little bit more accessible as long as you just want a comedy and stands more on its own, and doesn't take itself nearly as seriously, I think that gives Deadpool 2 the edge. So, with that in mind, here are our 5 nominees for Best Popular Film. Black Panther, Deadpool 2, A Quiet Place, Mission Impossible Fallout, Ready Player One. Now, of course, this is all speculation. I could be wrong, but let's just go and say that this is my official prediction for what Best Popular Film is going to look like should the award materialize, and they don't cave because of the huge backlash. And you know, the funny thing is, after looking at all of that, after I do that process of elimination, and now that we have a theoretical list of nominations for this new category, it really doesn't seem that bad, really. I mean, it's like, okay, that's a decent popular lineup. They are popular films, and, you know, I don't think anyone would begrudge that they were worthy of Oscar love on some level. I still truly do not like the idea of it. I do think this is pandering. I do believe it's a ratings grab. But you know what? Now that I've gone through it a little bit and I've thought about it, maybe this could, in a strange way, be the unofficial pros of the category, because that's not a terrible lineup by any stretch of the imagination. Now, maybe there's one or two one in there that I wouldn't, nominate myself. But, again, I tried to be fair. I tried to think, how would the Academy feel about this? So, and the thing is, even though they are basing this on popularity, I know it's funny, but I still kind of trust the Academy members to a certain extent to not pick something completely stupid, even in this totally frivolous and disposable category. But I would love to know what you guys think. So, comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. But even as little as $1 a month goes a long way, but it's totally optional. And as always, flame responsibly. I guess I'll see you tomorrow with some new Movie Pass news.